The elevator dinged as it came to a stop on the top floor, the only sound in the otherwise silent shaft being the hum of its motor. As the door slid open, a lone figure stepped out, their silhouette framed by the soft glow of the fluorescent lights that spilled out from the hallway beyond. The figure turned, revealing the face of a young woman, her features pale and drawn in the dim light. Her eyes were wide and unblinking, staring straight ahead as if transfixed by some unseen presence. Her name was Amelia, an unassuming office worker who had just finished her shift in the bustling city below. But this night was far from over, and as she turned the corner into the darkened hallway, whatever awaited her would soon turn her worst fears into reality. The air in the hallway was still and heavy, the faint hum of the elevator now replaced by an oppressive silence that seemed to press down on Amelia's shoulders. The flickering fluorescent light overhead cast long, distorted shadows that danced and writhed like tormented souls. As she walked, each step echoing in the vast emptiness, she couldn't shake off the feeling that she was being watched, hunted even. The hair on the back of her neck prickled and goosebumps erupted across her skin. Fear, cold and paralyzing, began to grip her heart, squeezing tight with each passing moment. She quickened her pace, her footsteps now a desperate staccato against the oppressive quiet. But the hallway stretched on endlessly, offering no respite, no escape from the unseen stalker who lurked within its suffocating embrace. In the distance, Amelia saw the faint glow of a security camera, a small red LED blinking like a watchful eye. It offered her a sliver of comfort, a momentary reprieve from the terror that threatened to consume her. But the knowledge that it was there did little to ease the primal fear that echoed within her bones. With trembling hands, she reached out to push the button, the familiar chime echoing through the space. Then she froze, a strangled gasp escaping her lips as the figure emerged from the shadows behind her. Startled, Amelia whirled around, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. For a moment, she was met with nothing but the darkness that seemed to have deepened in response to her fear. Then slowly, the darkness took shape, solidifying into the form of a man. He stood there, his face obscured by the gloom, his eyes two burning embers in the vast emptiness. Amelia's scream caught in her throat, a raw, visceral sound that tore through the silence. It echoed in the confined space, bouncing off the walls until it became a cacophony of pure terror. The man remained motionless, an ominous silhouette against the faint backdrop of light filtering in from the end of the hall. His silence was deafening, amplifying the pounding of Amelia's heart, which seemed to reverberate in her ears like a death knell. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the man began to move. He took a step forward, then another, his gait unsettlingly fluid. Each movement was deliberate, predatory, closing the distance between them with terrifying precision. Panic seized Amelia, propelling her into action. She stumbled backward, her eyes darting around frantically, searching for an escape, a hiding place, anything to alleviate the suffocating dread that was constricting her chest. Her fingers brushed against the cool surface of the wall, her nails digging into the drywall as she desperately sought purchase, a way out of this nightmare. Trapped against the wall with nowhere left to turn, Amelia's breath hitched in her throat. The man was upon her, his presence suffocating, his eyes boring into hers with an intensity that made her skin crawl. In that moment, she could feel her terror radiating off him in waves, mingling with the stench of decay that emanated from his person. The realization dawned on her, chilling her to the bone. The man before her wasn't human. It was something far more sinister, something that had stalked her, something that had been watching her all along. With a guttural growl that scraped against her eardrums like nails on a chalkboard, the creature lunged. Amelia screamed, the sound raw and primal as she braced for the inevitable. The creature's icy touch sent shivers down her spine, its fingers digging into her flesh with a strength that defied human anatomy. Its touch was a searing cold, like plunging her into an ice bath, stealing the warmth from her very core. As the creature tightened its grip, Amelia thrashed, her movements wild and desperate, her nails scratching against the creature's face in a futile attempt to buy herself some space, sometime, anytime, to escape the clutches of this nightmare. But the creature was relentless. Its strength was unnatural, its grip unbreakable. Its eyes, glowing orbs of malevolence, stared back at her, devoid of any humanity, any empathy. There were windows into a hellish abyss, reflecting the torment that lay within. Struggling against her captor's unnerving gaze, Amelia fought back, her screams echoing through the empty hallway, bouncing off the cold, uncaring walls. With a surge of adrenaline, she managed to twist in the creature's grasp, her knee finding purchase where it shouldn't have been able to. A strangled cry escaped her lips as she felt something give way under the pressure of her knee. But the creature's grip didn't falter. Its inhuman strength still evident as it held on, its eyes blazing with a furious light. Then, to Amelia's horror, the creature's head began to distort, its jaw elongating into a grotesque parody of a human face. Its eyes bulged, bloodshot orbs filled with a monstrous glee that sent a fresh wave of terror crashing over her. The creature's hand tightened around her throat, cutting off her screams as its face contorted into a mask of pure sadistic joy. And as the creature leaned closer, its putrid breath washing over her, reeking of decay and death, Amelia knew she was looking into the abyss, and the abyss was smiling back. Trapped in the unforgiving grip of the creature, Amelia's struggles gradually weakened. Her vision blurred at the edges, the harsh fluorescent light overhead throbbing like a second heartbeat. With each passing moment, the creature's suffocating grip on her throat made it harder for her to breathe. Harder to scream, harder to live. Yet even in the face of this horrifying transformation, Amelia's spirit refused to be broken. Her eyes, wide and wild, locked onto the creature's, a silent battle of wills unfolding between them. Then, as if sensing her impending defeat, a surge of desperate defiance surged through Amelia, summoning the last vestiges of her strength. She strained against the creature's hold, her body a taut bowstring ready to snap. But just as the creature prepared to claim its victory, a sudden commotion erupted from the other end of the hallway. Footsteps, heavy and purposeful, pounded toward them, accompanied by the urgent murmur of voices. Startled by the intrusion, the creature momentarily loosened its hold on Amelia, its attention diverted by the sudden disturbance. In that split second of distraction, Amelia managed to break free from its grasp, gasping for breath, her throat raw and aching. She stumbled back, her eyes wide with terror as she watched the creature turn to face the newcomers. The hallway, dimly lit by the flickering fluorescent lights, became a stage for horrifying the creature, its face a grotesque mask of rage and menace, stood silhouetted against the faint glow, its eyes blazing with murderous intent. Behind it, the newcomer halted, their silhouettes framed in the doorway. Their voices, sharp and insistent, echoed through the space, demanding answers, questioning what had transpired in this desolate corridor. But the creature made no reply. Instead, it launched itself at the newcomers, disappearing from sight in a flurry of motion. Chaos erupted. Screams pierced the air, mingling with the creature's guttural roars as the fight spilled into the darkness. Fearing for her own safety, Amelia instinctively ran, her footsteps echoing in the vast emptiness. She fled down the hallway, desperate to escape the horrors that unfolded behind her. As she rounded a corner, she found herself in a labyrinth of identical corridors, each one stretching into the darkness like a funhouse mirror maze. Panic tightened its icy grip around her heart, squeezing the breath from her lungs. Lost and alone, she raced through the maze-like structure, the echoes of screams and crashes serving as a terrifying soundtrack to her desperate flight. but the sound of her own ragged breathing and the pounding of her feet against the cold, hard floor were the only sounds that mattered in that moment. With each turn, each corridor, the sense of dread intensified, whispering insidious doubts in her ear. Was she truly alone? Was the creature still pursuing her, or had it been abandoned in its hunt? Trapped in this architectural nightmare, she dared not stop, daring not to listen to the whispers of fear that threatened to engulf her. She ran blindly, driven by the primal instinct to survive, to escape the clutches of the monster that haunted this place. Just when her lungs were threatening to burst and her legs felt like leaden weights, she saw a glimmer of hope, a shaft of light piercing through the oppressive darkness. With a surge of adrenaline, she surged forward, stumbling into the light and emerging into a stairwell. Descending the stairs, she didn't dare look back, certain that the creature would emerge from the darkness at any moment to claim her as its own. The metallic scent of blood hung heavy in the air, mingling with the metallic tumps of ozone that crackled on her tongue. As the stench of decay and death wafted through the stairwell, a cold dread settled in her stomach. The realization that she might not be alone in this decaying labyrinth struck her with the force of a physical blow. Each creaking step echoed in the confined space, amplifying her heartbeat, which pounded in her ears like a war drum announcing her doom. At the bottom of the stairs, she found herself in a labyrinth of dark, narrow corridors. The air was stagnant and heavy, laden with the oppressive weight of neglect and despair. Flickering shadows danced on the grimy walls, twisting and contorting into grotesque shapes that seemed to mock her terror. As she cautiously ventured deeper into the bowels of this subterranean labyrinth, the silence pressed against her, suffocating, heavy, broken only by the relentless drip, drip, drip of a leaking pipe somewhere in the darkness. Then she heard it again, a soft, rhythmic thud, 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 like footsteps echoing through the vast emptiness. Fear, cold and paralyzing, gripped her heart, squeezing the breath from her lungs. She froze, listening intently, straining to make sense of the sound. Had she imagined it, or was she truly not alone in this forsaken place?